host.
Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Praktani Adda. I'm excited to introduce our speaker, Sriman Shantanu Rooj, founder and
Hello.
CEO of Teamlease EdTech and an alumnus of RKMV 1989 batch, who will talk about his entrepreneurship journey today. And the session will be moderated by his batchmate Ravishda. So without further ado, let's get started. Please mute your microphones and note that this session is being recorded. Over to you, Ravishda.
Hey, thank you, Krishna, and thank you everyone who joined us, and thank you everyone who would be watching our recorded show. So here is my friend, a very good friend of mine, also my neighbor here in Mumbai. Let me present you Shantanu Rooj. Just to give you a small background, right from Vidyapit, he was a topper, right, of our batch, but not the type who would be peering over books every time. Okay, he was like, all our, all of us, like every one of us, teenager. Okay, and he loved doing his stuffs, like we all do. But I think that's what we all know about Shantanu. Let's know more about him, from him uh, today. So, Shantanu, in brief, maybe you can tell us your journey after Vidyapit.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Ravish. That was a lovely introduction, any which way. So yeah, after Vidyapit, as you are aware that Vidyapit that time was only up to class 10th, right? So we had no choice but to leave Vidyapit and figure out some other school. So I went to DPS RK Puram. That also happened because most people in Vidyapit at that point in time, whoever were supposed to be the toppers there, they normally ended up at DPS RK Puram. So by that momentum, I also ended up there. So 2 years in DPS RK Puram, lots of fun, lots of studies. And then I wanted to become an Air Force pilot. So I went for NDA, went for all of this physical tests and everything else. But that time my dad told me, so dad was also okay with me joining Air Force and not going for IIT. But last में क्या हुआ कि पापा ने बताया, यार बेटा एयर फोर्स में जा ही रहे हो, एक बार आईआईटी में बैठ जा. अगर हो गया तो मैं एटलीस्ट मैं अपने दोस्तों को बताऊंगा कि आईआईटी में हो गया था फिर भी एयरफोर्स में गया. सो आई सेड ठीक है पापा, तैयारी तो नहीं की है. तो उन्होंने कहा बैठ जाओ देख लेते हैं, ऐसे भी जाना तो नहीं है. सो विथ वॉट एवर प्रिपरेशन आई डन फ्रॉम माई CBSE, आई वेंट एंड रोट JEE. अनफॉर्चुनेटली मेरा हो गया उसमें, और जैसे ही हो गया पापा ने अपना रंग बदल दिया. बोला अब तो इतना नहीं.
Like everybody's father.
सो आप तो वहां पहुंचोगे आप. तो फाइनली 4 साल IIT में, और चारों साल में यही सोचता रहा कि इसमें से निकलूं कैसे, बिकॉज ना तो वो पसंद आता था ना समझ में आता था. तो फाइनली 4 साल के IIT करने के बाद आई गॉट इनटू HCL, Hewlett Packard, in the sales and marketing department. So I was very happy. One is I was going to IT, and number two, I was not supposed to be doing core engineering. So went there, spent about 3 years time, and realized within that those 3 years that शायद ये नौकरी वोकरी करना अपने बस की बात नहीं है. Wanted to do something of my own. So that's where my entrepreneurship journey started. Left Hewlett Packard and started my first company. It was called Paradigm Infotech. Paradigm Infotech, I started off as an IT services company in the year 1997. उसको 6-7 साल चलाया हमने मेरे एक दोस्त के साथ, आनंद, and two of us ran the company. In the year 2005, we had a very successful IPO. Shares list हो गए, and that's the time I sold off, started my second company, which was called Broadline. Broadline used to be a software services company which was making ERP solutions for schools, colleges, university in a SaaS model. तो काफी अर्ली स्टार्ट किया उसको, 2005 के आसपास स्टार्ट किया, 5-6 के आसपास. 2009 I got a good acquisition opportunity. Somebody was offering me a very good price for the company, and I thought that's a great exit, and so I sold off, and I exited from Broadline, and then started my present organization, which is Teamlease EdTech, right? And as you are aware, Ravish, in Teamlease EdTech, Today, we happen to be India's leading edtech service provider in the higher education space. Here, we work with about 65, 70 of Indian universities, about 5 IITs, few IIMs, and few IIITs, and help them with running their online degrees. Alongside that, as we were helping them do their online degrees, we also figured out that we needed to help these universities find employer connectivity, or they solve their employability challenge. That's the time we launched our innovative program, which we called it Work Integrated Online Degrees. And that's something that the product actually took birth with us. We are proud to be the parents of that product. उसमें क्या हुआ कि if you are aware that India में normally जो there are two types of degrees. One is called a professional degree, जिसमें इंजीनियरिंग होता है, मेडिकल होता है, आर्किटेक्चर, नर्सिंग, ये सब प्रोफेशनल डिग्रीज हैं, जिसके एंड में एक करियर होता है. एवरीबडी इज अवेयर दैट अगर मैं इंजीनियरिंग कर रहा हूँ तो इंजीनियर बनूंगा एक दिन, अगर मैं मेडिकल पढ़ रहा हूँ तो एक दिन कभी डॉक्टर बन जाऊंगा. एंड देर आर जनरल डिग्रीज विच इज BA, BSc, BCom. राइट, नॉर्मली दीज आर जनरल डिग्रीज जिसके एंड में कोई करियर नॉर्मली नहीं होता, नॉट एटलीस्ट बाय द वर्च्यू ऑफ द डिग्रीज. तो उसमें क्या हुआ कि so we realized that in India, there are about all the kids, if you look at 1 crore kids getting into higher education, close to about 80% of the kids gets into general degree programs. And these kids do not have any career making by virtue of their higher education. और हम तो ऑनलाइन डिग्रीज कर रहे थे यूनिवर्सिटीज के साथ. सो ऑनलाइन डिग्रीज और डिस्टेंस एजुकेशन डिग्रीज आर ऑलवेज अ सेकंड क्लास सिटीजन, राइट. सो अगर क्लासरूम में जाकर बीकॉम पढ़ते हो तो इट वाज सपोज टू बी अ गुड वन. अगर डिस्टेंस से बीकॉम करते हो, ऑनलाइन से करते हो, तो इट्स सपोज टू बी अ सेकंड कजिन ऑफ दैट वन. सो जनरल वाले को ही या क्लासरूम रेगुलर वाले को ही नौकरी नहीं मिलती, तो ऑनलाइन वाले को मिलना तो ऑलमोस्ट इम्पॉसिबल. सो वी रियलाइज दैट ये चीज जो है ना, जो बच्चे आते हैं यूनिवर्सिटीज में डिग्री करने के लिए, दे कम विद अ होप दैट these are pathways to making careers, and most of the time they go back disappointed. And ye long term mein this is not sustainable. We have to do something to change this routine. So we created this product called online degree programs. Usme kya hota hai? So for example, you go to this go to any one of the partner universities, and थोड़ी देर पहले बालाजी कह रहा था कि मैं चंडीगढ़ से हूँ. सो फॉर एग्जांपल चंडीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी में अगर आप जाएंगे और कहेंगे कि मुझे बीकॉम ऑनलाइन में करना है, तो चंडीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी टेल्स यू दैट आई हैव 2 डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ बीकॉम. एक है नॉर्मल ऑनलाइन बीकॉम, जैसे हम सबको पता है ऑनलाइन कैसे पढ़ाई जाती है. दूसरा होता है वर्क इंटीग्रेटेड बीकॉम. उसमें तो रवीश ने पूछा कि यार ये होता क्या है. यूनिवर्सिटी ने बताया कि 3 साल जब आप हमारे साथ ऑनलाइन बीकॉम कर रहे होंगे, आई विल प्लेस यू in one of the partner companies as a trainee for 3 years. 3 साल तक हम यूनिवर्सिटी आपको थियरी पढ़ाएगी, और 3 साल तक आप इंटर्नशिप कर रहे होंगे किसी कंपनी में, जहां प्रैक्टिकल अकाउंटिंग सीख रहे होंगे. आप डेबिट क्रेडिट कर रहे होंगे, वाउचिंग कर रहे होंगे, डेटा एंट्री कर रहे होंगे, अकाउंट्स की सॉफ्टवेयर ऑपरेट कर रहे होंगे, टैली कर रहे होंगे. तो थियरी आप यूनिवर्सिटी से पढ़ेंगे, प्रैक्टिकल्स आप कॉर्पोरेट में पढ़ेंगे, so that when you pass out with the 3 years of work experience. So you're a fresher with 3 years of work experience, right? So that will ensure that you're ready for a career, number 1. Number 2, जब आप ये internship कर रहे हैं, the employer will also pay you monthly stipend, which is anywhere from 10,000 rupees to about 25,000 rupees a month, depending on which city you're doing it. And that will go a long way in financing your course fees for many kids who possibly cannot afford to pay their higher education fees as well. So there's a concept of earning while learning, and there's a concept of learning by doing, right? So we realized that by merging our online learning with the on-the-job learning, right? दोनों मिलाने के बाद we created a product which is work integrated learning, जिसमें बच्चा passes out with work experience. Employers love these candidates because they signal very high employability. Imagine, Ravish, in your company, there's a software engineer who comes in, who says that I'm a fresher, but I have 4 years of work experience working with Capgemini. 4 साल मैंने वो बैठ के कोडिंग सीखी है, उनके साथ लाइव प्रोजेक्ट्स में काम किया है. Obviously, that candidate looks like a more attractive candidate, even when you compare him to a candidate who has come from a regular college, right? So we realized that by merging an online degree with an on-the-job learning, we've created a product which has a huge potential for a country like India, which creates a hope. This creates a pathway of career making even for people of general degrees, जो BA BCom करते हैं, BSc करते हैं, जिनके पास डिग्री के खत्म होने के बाद करियर होता नहीं, उनके पास तो होप भी नहीं होता कि मैं कोई करियर बनेगा. उनके लिए आपने एक करियर तैयार की. इस तरह से हमें लगता है हमने ये BA BSc BCom को भी एक प्रोफेशनल BA प्रोफेशनल BSc प्रोफेशनल BCom बनाया. आज करीब करीब 1 लाख बच्चे ऐसे हैं जो इस तरह के प्रोग्राम में हमारे पार्टनर यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ ये डिग्रीज कर रहे हैं, और obviously they are on their way to making their careers. Just 2 days back, 2 days नहीं, yesterday, so we brought out, it's a happy problem to have, Ravish. I mean, we just published one of our research reports which said that how there are a lot of employers who are coming to us and saying that we also want to participate, Shantanu, in this particular initiative. And we just published a research report. Narendra Modi ji and Finance Minister Sitaraman ji, both of them retweeted our report yesterday and said that this is a great initiative that Team Leads EdTech is doing, and the corporate India is willing to participate in this particular initiative. Yeah, so this is long and short of my journey after Vidyapit. Yeah.
No, I think that's incredibly wonderful. Okay, and I think EdTech will rise much further, and I think a lot of people will get benefited in the progress. But having said that, Shantanu, I think uh, we would also like to understand how this bug, right, called entrepreneur bug bite you, or let's say, put it differently. Why did you choose, or how did you choose this path of entrepreneurship? Look, job looks much more settled thing,
Yeah.
Uh, marriage is easier, life is easier. Okay, it is on expected lines. Uh, why entrepreneur? How entrepreneur? What happened?
Yeah.
What was that which triggered you? Weren't you? I'm sorry, I'm just putting a lot of questions, right? But
Mm.
uh, weren't you aware of the risks? But did you think about what will happen to you tomorrow if things does not work out, so on and so forth?
So अगर रवीश, अगर हम देखें इस चीज को, लोगों ने बंजी जंपिंग करते हुए सुना होगा तुमने,
हाँ, सुना तो है।
पैराट्रूपिंग करते हुए देखा, जो एयरप्लेन से कूदते हैं, उनसे पूछो सारे तुमने क्या सोच के वहां से जंप मारा था, तो बोलेगा अगर सोचता तो जंप नहीं मारता,
एब्सोल्युटली।
है ना। तो मुझे लगता है मेरा एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में एंट्री भी इसी तरह से था। 3 साल मेरे वर्क एक्सपीरियंस था, नया नया जोश था। मैंने एक देखा उस कंपनी में, जब मैं HCL ह्यूलेट पैकर्ड में काम करता था, एक तो आई यूज टू ऑलवेज सरपास माई टारगेट नंबर्स, जो सेल्स टारगेट होता, बिकॉज आई वाज इन सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग। एंड आई रियलाइज दैट अगर इस कंपनी में बैठकर मैं अगर 10 करोड़ का सेल करता हूं, तो अगर मैं अपना कंपनी स्टार्ट करूं 5 करोड़ तो पक्का कर लूंगा, बिकॉज आई रियलाइज दैट सेल्स करने में इतना मैं सीख गया 3 साल में, द कस्टमर ट्रस्ट यू as much as they trust the company, right? So your relationship with the clients is going to be the most important thing. I realize that there's so many clients who trust me more even than the company. अगर मैं उनको बताऊं कि यार सर मैंने HCL छोड़ दिया, मैं कुछ अपना कर रहा हूं, they would possibly be willing to support me. So that was the plunge I was making. And even if I did 25% of the sales that I did for HCL, I would make more money than what I was making that time. बस इतना ही समझ में आया। और उसके साथ आई डिसाइडेड वन फाइन डे टू लीव माई जॉब, एंड माई मैनेजर वाज सो सरप्राइज, शांतु तुम क्या बात कर रहा है, तुम अपना कंपनी चालू करेंगे, 3 साल हुआ है ना, तुम्हारे पास कुछ है। एंड आई स्टार्टेड द कंपनी विद 5,000 रुपीज एज माई एज माई स्टार्टिंग मनी। नेवर, आई मीन, एक तो इतने कैलकुलेशन ही नहीं। द गुड पार्ट इन दिस केस, आई वाज लकी दैट माई पार्टनर आनंद यूज्ड टू रन अ स्मॉल साइज हार्डवेयर ट्रेडिंग कंपनी। वो कंप्यूटर कहीं से करता था, असेंबल करता था, बेचता था। सो पॉसिबली ही न्यू समथिंग अबाउट दैट, लिटिल बिट ऑफ इट, एंड आई थॉट दैट आई अंडरस्टैंड द कॉर्पोरेटाइज्ड वर्जन ऑफ दिस बिजनेस। सो दोनों मिलकर बोले स्टार्ट करते हैं यार। स्टार्ट किया, एंड जब स्टार्ट करना चालू किया तो एक तो मुझे ये भी नहीं पता था कि कंपनी बनती कैसे है, उसमें शेयर्स होते हैं, ये सब चीजें कुछ पता नहीं था। ही न्यू सम पार्ट ऑफ इट, सो आई ट्रस्टेड हिम टू डू ऑल दिस स्टफ। वी डिडंट हैव एन ऑफिस, so we spoke to a friend of ours, and उसकी he used to have a very small office, कुछ 350-400 स्क्वायर फीट की ऑफिस होती थी ग्रांट रोड में, उसके पास उसकी ऑफिस थे। तो हमने उसको बताया यार हमें अपने कंपनी चालू करनी है, थोड़े दिन तुम्हारे यहाँ से काम कर लें। तो ही वॉज वेरी जनरस, उसने बोला बिल्कुल कर लो, एक काम करते हैं, मेरा केबिन तुम्हारा ऑफिस और बाकी जगह मैं काम कर लेता हूँ। सो उसके केबिन हमारा ऑफिस बनेगा। केबिन कितना होगा, मेरे ख्याल से 80-100 स्क्वायर फीट होगा। उसमें हम 4 जन घुस जाते थे। हमारे पास 2 चेयर्स होती थी उसमें, उसी जगह में 2-3 टेबल, 2 चेयर। मतलब मैं नॉर्मली अपने चेयर से उठता नहीं था, कि उठा तो दूसरा कोई बैठ जाएगा। तो इस तरह से स्टार्ट हुआ था कंपनी, राइट सर, फ्रॉम द कोजी बिजनेस ऑफ HCL and all the stuff where it's corporatized, a lot of processes and a lot of security, safety, to an uncertain scenario, but a lot of dreams, a lot of vision, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. एंड फेल होने के बाद तो दिमाग में आया ही नहीं। आई थिंक दैट्स द वे वी स्टार्टेड, राइट। बट द जर्नी, सो इट वाज आल्सो लर्निंग बाय डूइंग, जो मैं अपनी डिग्रीज की बात कर रहा था जिसमें बच्चे लर्निंग बाय डूइंग होता है, इसमें भी लास्ट 20-25 सालों में तो मैंने काफी चीज सीख लिया जो ड्यूरिंग माय एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप जर्नी, राइट। सो मैंने अभी जब आप तुमसे बताया कि जब हमने पैराडाइम स्टार्ट किया, आईपीओ हो गया, ब्रॉडलाइन स्टार्ट की, वो बिक गया कंपनी, और टीम लीज एट टेक मैं अभी कर रहा हूँ, विच इज ऑल्सो डूइंग वेल। बट देर आर लॉट्स ऑफ स्टफ people normally sees the successes which are there, a lot of stuff which possibly did not work in between. We do not speak about them very often, right?
Yep.
There are many things which not have worked in between, right? Those are the life lessons possibly which taught us what is entrepreneurship all about. I think I got initiated just by sheer non-planning, by sheer belief in myself, by just knowing there's a support system, which is one more friend of mine who's willing to participate. दोनों मिलकर कुछ ना कुछ figure out कर लेंगे. Early on, willing to take risk that time, not too many things to lose. That's the way I think the journey started. But I don't repent it today. I mean, if I had to do it again, I would still do it again because I think the journey has been amazing. I think learning has been tremendous. Satisfaction is sky touching, and yeah, I think that worked well for me.
So that brings me to next question, right? And I think every young, boy or their friends who would be watching this Zoom recording, who are coming fresh out of the Vidyapit, they would understand at least one thing, that, don't think too much, right? It's like bungee jumping and paragliding. Life is also should be an adventure. So we got that. But having said that, I think we as a viewer would also like to understand that when you had started this, right, there would be mistakes that you might have made or may not have made the mistake, but you could have done things slightly different. So what lessons you could learn, and so that all the young boys who are listening to this don't make the same mistake, right? They learn from your experience.
Yeah. So Ravish, each one of my companies had grown to a different level. And
Yep.
hence, I think learnings are very different in each one of my organizations. And since
Let's
you
start
asked
with
me
the first one,
the
because I
first
think
one,
that is the most critical thing.
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली। सो पहली कंपनी स्टार्ट कर दी हमने। सो हमने जस्ट एक दिन बैठकर चाय पर डिस्कस किया कि हम स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, अगले दिन रिजाइन कर दिया एंड स्टार्टेड ऑफ, राइट। द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट आई डिड नॉट नो दैट टाइम इज हाउ टू डू बिजनेस विद अ फ्रेंड, right? So there, I realized now, and I'm much more prudent today, and as you're aware of many different experiences that I have today, is that how do you do business with a friend? Because friends do not have any vested interest in each other, right? They do not expect too much from each other. It's just mere bonds, which is mere love, which is a trust amongst each other, which holds friendships. They are very different from a business partner. So in my first company, for example, when we started the company, हमने स्टार्ट तो कर दिया, बट हमने कभी आपस में कोई एग्रीमेंट नहीं लिखा कि मेरा रोल क्या होगा, तुम्हारा रोल क्या होगा, मेरा शेयर्स कितने होंगे, तुम्हारे शेयर्स कितने होंगे, मैं कितना पैसा डालूंगा, आप कितना पैसा डालोगे, कभी कंपनी को तोड़ना पड़ा तो कैसे होगा, अगर मैं निकलना चाहूं तो क्या होगा, आप निकलना चाहोगे तो क्या होगा। ये सब चीजें कभी हमने लिखी नहीं, बिकॉज दोस्त होते थे ना, फ्रेंड्स आर लाइक वी अज्यूम दैट विल फिगर आउट समथिंग टुगेदर। सो पहली कंपनी में जब हमने कंपनी चालू की, आई आस्क्ड आनंद टू, ही वाज टेकिंग केयर ऑफ द कंपनी फॉर्मेशन, आई वाज लुकिंग एट सेल्स, बोथ ऑफ अस वर लुकिंग एट इट। सो आई नेवर बॉदर्ड टू फिगर आउट दैट ये जो कंपनी बनी तो कैसी बनी, आई नेवर न्यू व्हाट दिस थिंग्स वाज। पहली बार मैंने कंपनी के शेयर्स देखे जब कंपनी के आईपीओ होने का टाइम आ गया, 6 साल हो गए थे कंपनी के। टिल दैट टाइम आई नेवर बॉदर्ड, कभी सोचा भी नहीं कि उधर आए नहीं। जब बाहर के इन्वेस्टर्स आने लगे एंड दे स्टार्टेड asking about cap tables and they started making our that the DRHP report. This time when I looked at the share table, I suddenly realized something is wrong, right? So for example, हमने और आपने कंपनी चालू की, तो I mean my de facto understanding is हम दोनों 50-50 shareholder हैं, right? But when I saw that cap table, I realized that it's different. And somewhere there was his wife had come in. She was also working in the company, and he had allocated 1/3 share to her. Now, so suddenly from a 50% shareholder, in my mind, I became a 33% shareholder in the company. Now, the lesson that I learned Ravish, that. And I think it's a very, very important lesson for anybody who wants to do entrepreneurship and wants to do it in partnership with someone. And that someone could be a friend, your brother, your uncle, your father, or your daughter, your son, anyone that you want to do partnership with. The golden rule is, please write down an agreement between two of you, even if it's a half-page document, documenting both of your understanding of this business. It's always help. It helps. Agreement हम जो लिखते हैं ना, it's not because someday कभी problem हो जाएगा उस agreement को खोलेंगे और झगड़ा करेंगे, उसके ऊपर से solve करेंगे. Agreement इसलिए लिखते हैं ताकि कभी झगड़ा ही ना हो. Because that agreement tells us that हम दोनों की शेयर होल्डिंग ऐसी है, हम दोनों इतना सैलरी ड्रॉ करेंगे, हम ये रोल प्ले करेंगे, तुम ये रोल करोगे. कभी अगर हमारे दोनों के अगर मान लो कि डिसीजन मैच नहीं होते हैं तो हुज डिसीजन विल गो फॉरवर्ड इन विच एरिया. सेल्स का डिसीजन होगा तो अगर हम दोनों अग्री नहीं किए तो फाइनली व्हाट आई विल से आई गो फॉरवर्ड, दिस इज समथिंग द कंपनी विल गो हियर. अगर फाइनेंस का मैटर हो, योर डिसीजन विल गो फॉरवर्ड. आई मीन इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टू राइट डाउन एन एग्रीमेंट. That will ensure the company sustains in the long term. It ensures that the misunderstandings are not. The misunderstanding is always happens because I have something in mind and you have something else in mind, right? And we have never told each other what we have in mind. And this untold stuff always creates misunderstandings, right? It's always better to write an agreement between the two of them so that the partnership works well. I learned that in the first one. And I have done this in every single organization that I have created, and I have never had that problem there. Right.
So,
Yeah.
Shantanu, you had subsequent entrepreneur experience also because you have bought and sold a lot of companies.
Yeah.
Okay. And I am sure there would be some lesson learned in each of the companies. So without naming which company, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible, right, for you to list down top 3 learnings?
Yeah.
First, we got to know, right, that uh, it's a people and the business are 2 different entities.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let it be treated that way.
Yes.
I think that was a beautiful lesson. 2 more things, however minor it would sound to you, but to someone, right, it could be a major one. For example, the way I see it, you were lucky to get even 33%.
Yeah.
It could have been
Absolutely.
far worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So to other people, it could have been far worse. So therefore, right, minor or major, 2 more lessons if it is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that I've learned in life, Ravish, is that अगर आप गेम थियोरी को देखें, हम 2 तरह के गेम्स होते हैं. एक होता है फाइनाइट गेम्स, जैसे होता है मान लीजिए लूडो होता है, क्रिकेट होता है, चेस होता है, फुटबॉल होता है, जिसमें क्या होता है 2 पार्टीज होती हैं. आपको पता है कि दोनों पार्टीज को पता है एक दूसरे के बारे में.
Correct.
उसमें रूल सेट होते हैं और उस गेम के एंड में एक विनर होता है, एक लूजर होता है. That's called a finite game. Normally, most games that we play are finite games.
Yes.
But there are also a set of games which are called infinite games. Infinite games में क्या होता है कि first of all, you do not know who your competitors are, who your opponents are. It's a free play. Opponents can keep on coming in, opponents can keep on going out. You keep on playing that game. Number 2, games के rules change होते रहते हैं as you go forward. And third thing is, there is nobody who is a loser or a winner in this game. इसमें win loss नहीं होता. उसमें लोग चलते चलते काम करते करते या खेलते खेलते थक जाते हैं. With their run out of resources or motivation, just drop off. That is called an infinite game. Business is an infinite game.
Yeah.
इनफाइनाइट इसमें क्या होता है कि आप गेम खेलते रहते हैं. आप किसके अगेंस्ट में खेल रहे हैं? आज मैं एडटेक कंपनी चला रहा हूँ, किसके अगेंस्ट में चल रहा हूँ? I think I do not know who I am playing against. I'm just playing with my own product, with my own market, with my own services and stuff like that. There could be new players who can come in every day. There can be players who can exit every day. The rules of the game is not set by me alone. Each player can set their own rules. And there's nobody who loses in this game of business. जो लोग बंद कर देते हैं कंपनी are the people who decide that. They run sort of motivation resources and they decide to just shut down their company and walk off this business of this entire game. So that is an infinite game. I think that's one. So अगर इस गेम में कोई हार जीत नहीं होता, the biggest important thing in business is to stay alive. Any business which can stay alive for 20 years, 25 years will always be successful. Normally, businesses बीच में ही मर जाती. And the biggest reason that, and most businesses who die do not die, because it's a The question that we have to understand in business is that do companies die because it's a murder or it's suicide? I've realized that most companies die because it's suicide. They make mistakes, they make fatal mistakes, which they should not have done. And few things that are important in this case. Number one is, for example, if people compromise on governance and stuff like compliances, and they don't think for the long term, or short term agar steps lete ho aap, right? If you take short term steps and short term solutions and short term view of businesses, those is something that possibly starts catching up with you as you go forward. I think thinking long term in business is a very, very key important area that I've started learning. And people who focus for the long term, build for the long term, ensure that the fundamentals are strong, builds the base of the organization very well. I think that's a very important path of building an organization. Do not take shortcuts. जुगाड़ थोड़ी दिन के लिए चलता है, long term के लिए नहीं चलता. You have to build fundamentally good businesses, ensure that you are focused on the company, do the right things, do not compromise on your accounts and finance, do not overbook revenues, do not hide costs, do not hide debts. And those are the business mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make. So that's focus on the long term, build things which are high on governance, high on compliances, and do not take shortcuts. That's number one. Other thing that I've learned here, Ravish, is that the respect for capital. Normally in businesses, entrepreneurs क्या करते हैं कि हम एक प्लान बनाते हैं, राइट? अपने बिजनेस प्लान्स बनाते हैं कि 3 साल में हम यहाँ पहुंच जाएंगे, 4 साल में यहाँ पहुंच जाएंगे, 5 साल में यहाँ पहुंच जाएंगे. बट मैंने ये 25 साल में सीखा है कि ऑल प्लान्स आर यूजलेस, बट प्लानिंग इज इनएविटेबल. यू कांट नॉट डू प्लानिंग. बट ये बहुत ही कम एंटरप्रेन्योर मैंने देखे हैं जो कि उस प्लान पर खरा उतरा है. लेकिन इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि अगर आपने फंडामेंटली अच्छी कंपनी बनाई है, आप गोल पर पहुंचोगे जरूर. चाहे 3 साल की जगह 5 साल लग जाएगा, 5 साल की जगह 7 साल लग जाएगा. सो नॉर्मली व्हेन यू रन अ कंपनी, you will normally need more money or more time than what you thought you will take. आपने सोचा था 5 साल में यहाँ पहुंचूंगा, 5 साल में नहीं पहुंचेंगे, शायद 7 साल लगेगा, 8 साल लगेगा. If you continue to work towards it, you'll get there. So it normally need more time. And in business, money is a representation of time. अगर आपके पास पैसे हैं, you have more fuel to run for longer period of time, right? So it's important to be frugal about capital. अगर आज हमारे एडटेक इंडस्ट्री के देखें, या एडटेक के बारे में बात कर रहा हूं बिकॉज आई एम फ्रॉम द इंडस्ट्री, बट द सेम रूल अप्लाइज फॉर अदर स्टार्टअप्स एज वेल. अगर आप इसको देखो तो इतनी सारी कंपनीज आई और ऑलमोस्ट चली गई, राइट? सो अगर व्हाइट हैट जूनियर से देखे, बायजूस की बात करें, अन अकेडमी अभी सुन रहे हैं बात, ऑल वेदांतुस की बात करें, ऑल दिस कंपनीज केम एंड दे ब्लू हॉट एंड कोल्ड. दे केम अ लॉट ऑफ इन्वेस्टर मनी, पैसा उड़ाया, पैसा जलाया. बट व्हाट हैपेंड अल्टीमेटली, राइट? टुडे इफ यू सी, ये जो अचानक आकर जलाने वाली बात होती है ना, वो अपने आप उसको भी जला देता है. और थोड़ी दिन के बाद यू स्टार्ट रनिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ कैपिटल एंड अल्टीमेटली यू रन आउट ऑफ दिस game. That's what has started happening to people. So I have started realizing that when business is long term के लिए है, अगर long term के लिए धीरज रखना जरूरी है. Blowing hot and cold is not going to be important for you. So remaining consistently warm is better than blowing hot and cold. एक बार आपने 10,000 आदमी को हायर कर लिया, 3 महीने बाद रिपोर्ट आ रहा है कि 6,000 आदमी निकाल दिया उसमें से. जरूरत नहीं थी. आप हर महीने 100 आदमी हायर करते तो भी अच्छा चलता शायद आपका. So remaining consistently warm, focusing on fundamentals, respect for capital, frugality of capital. Frugality of capital का मतलब कंजूसी नहीं होता. उसका मतलब you don't spend 2 rupees where you have to spend 1, right?
Value.
Yeah, value of the money. It's important, right? And focusing on the basics of business. So basics of business क्या होता था? हमारे दादाजी के जमाने में धंधा कैसे होता था, बिजनेस कैसे होता था? आदमी 2 रुपए का सामान कहीं से खरीदता था, 3 रुपए में बेचता था, वो बिजनेस होता था. 1 रुपया कमाता था. So business is always about the cost of sale, the money that you earn while you sell it, and the cash flow. ये 3 चीज से बिजनेस बनता था. Somewhere down the line, last few years, because of a lot of externalities and a lot of funding, a lot of investors, and a lot of stuff, I think we have forgotten the fundamentals of business. अगर ये कोविड और कोविड के आसपास के टाइम में आपने सुना होगा, businesses were never measured in revenues or profits or cash flows. They're measured in eyeballs. कितने देखे, कितने ऐप डाउनलोड किए, कितने यूट्यूब में फॉलोअर्स मिले, कितने इन्फ्लुएंसर्स ने क्या कहा, मेरे कितने वॉक-इन्स हुए, अरे यार कितने लोगों ने पैसा दिया. अगर डिड यू अर्न मनी आउट ऑफ दिस एंटायर थिंग? इफ यू डू नॉट अर्न मनी, businesses are not sustainable. You can't pay salaries out of your investors' money. You have to pay salaries out of your customers' money, right? So it's the fundamentals of business are very important. So every company must assess themselves through financial metrics, which are very standardized, which have been there since ever. I mean, revenues, profits, cash flows, important चीज है. इनके ऊपर ध्यान देना जरूरी है. फंडामेंटल्स पर ध्यान देना जरूरी है. सस्टेन्ड मूव करना जरूरी है. लॉन्ग टर्म में बहुत रैपिड ग्रोथ इज नॉट द ओनली थिंग which will ensure that your success. Living alive, keeping yourself alive for 25 years is going to make you more successful. And to do that, to ensure that the fundamentals of the business are intact, right? That's what I've started learning, Ravish. Make sense?
Correct. Beautifully said. To paraphrase and summarize for everyone, the first point was that people and entity are two different things. Respect the boundaries of each one of them, and get your papers or some kind of document understanding. That's the first point. Second point was that unlike any other game, business is an infinite game. So friends, stay alive, stay warm, right? There will be always another day. Okay. Plan are useless. Planning is inevitable. So, stay warm, stay alive to live another day. And third is capital. Okay, respect the capital. Respect the fundamentals of the business, which is cost price, sales price, and in between the cash flow, right? That's the basic tenet and basic fundamental. I think it's beautifully said. And I think this would be, you know, uh, everybody knows this, right? But a lot of education, a lot of vocabularies, a lot of words, and people dilute the fundamental and the core principles. So that's great thing that you have said, Shantanu, which brings to me another question. Although you said something, right, but I still would want to be as precise as possible in my question. Uh, is it a say, for example, there are a lot of communities, right, which we call them as a business community. They have got this DNA of business. We don't understand whether it's a part of DNA or not. So therefore, right, to see a professor's son become an entrepreneur is like, it's like a role model for every young kid on the block. Okay. Therefore, my next question is it a birthright, or is it like a muscle memory, right, which you can keep learning, okay, and make your muscle learn? Or you said that, don't think too much, right, take a jump. What is it? If you can elaborate a little more, probably.
Yeah. So in my opinion, Ravish, entrepreneurship is not like skin color. It's not like your color of your eyes, which can't be changed. It's like muscles, which can be developed by a lot of practice, right? So if you understand, or if you are willing to learn, if you're willing to be humble in this case, and if you're willing to learn from others people's mistakes, right? So you can become a good entrepreneur. I mean, हमने कई बार लोगों को बताया है कि अगर आपको लाइफ में कुछ सीखना है, it's not necessary to be on the electric fence yourself, right? You can learn from other people's experiences. So I think it's a muscle which can be developed amongst people. There are so you have to I mean, entrepreneurship में दो तीन disadvantages भी है. पहली बात है कि you're being an entrepreneur, you're at the top of the company. चाहे छोटा कंपनी हो, बड़ा कंपनी हो, the highest official in that company. So everybody looks up to you. So you're the role model. You can't make mistakes. You're supposed to be the demigod in that organization, right? Everybody else can make mistakes. You can't. You can't be low energy, because अगर जिस दिन आप low energy, entire company is low energy. And so people look up to you. And number three is you don't know who to learn from. So there is nobody who can teach you, because everybody in the company is reporting to you directly, indirectly. So it's important as for an entrepreneur to continuously learn. And for that, for example, there are only a few ways that you can learn. One is you can learn through reading. I think that's one thing that I've understood is continuous reading, and is something that where you continue to learn from. And number two, build your networks, learn from others, people who are, who know more than you, people who are more seasoned entrepreneurs, people who are part of extended networks. Because देखिए, हमारे पास, हम सब के पास इतना ही brain है ना. I mean, so you can only think this much, do that much. But if you can use your network, use your friends, use your acquaintances, use your colleagues as an extension of your brain and take their help in solving a lot of problems, I think and you can move a lot of stuff. So that's one. The other thing that I've also started realizing, Ravish, is that as an entrepreneur, it's important to have, we have been talking about the concept of a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, right? Ability to look forward, ability to continuously innovate, ability to disrupt the road behind you while you move forward so that competitors do not catch up with you, are all very important traits of an entrepreneur. You have to continuously innovate, you have to continuously disrupt stuff that you have yourself done so that you are always one step ahead of competition. That's very, very important. You take decisions, you make decisions in entrepreneurships, and every day you're making decisions. You have to ensure that risk taking, where it is an important element of an entrepreneur, you have to ensure that the risks that you take are not binary risks. मतलब it can't be 0 and 1, right? Risks, अगर आप उस तरह के risk लेंगे, it's a bad risk to take. ऐसा risk मत लो जिसमें it can just shut down your company, right? 0 or 1 is not a good risk to take. The risk that you take can be a thorn in the flesh, can't be a dagger in the heart. So that's the problem, right? So you have to be clear about whatever risks are you taking and whether you should be taking that. Build it for fundamentally correct. Continuously learn from people who are part of your network. Continuously build your networks. Read a lot, right? So that's the only way to learn continuously. I think those are the very important things that you can do as an entrepreneur. And if you keep your value system intact, I think you will get somewhere.
Next couple of questions, Shantanu.
Yeah.
So, what next within the EdTech? Okay, the current company, right, that you have founded.
Yeah.
What next big thing that you are planning? Second question, right? I'll ask three questions. Okay, allow me. Then the second question would be, what next after this EdTech? Because we have seen flurry of entrepreneur moves, so to say. And third, how soon or how long will it take us to see you in your own farmhouse, permanently taking care of your cows, chicken, ducks, right, and your onions and cauliflowers and stuff like that?
सही है. So दो चीजें हैं. तो एक चीज रविश, one of the thing that I learned during my journey, in my earlier company when I was doing Broadline, I was also doing one more business at my side. दो चीजें मैंने यार ये तो कर सकता हूँ मैं, right? And I started something else in the financial services domain, and I miserably failed. One thing I learned in my life that दो नाव में पैर रखने से बिल्कुल नहीं होता काम. छोड़ दो उसको. Even if there are equally important and equally attractive opportunities, important part of strategy is to not decide what not to do. So
I think people should thank me here because of this question, right? We got the fourth learning. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's important to focus. So जब आप एक काम कर रहे हो, एक company run कर रहे हो, I think it's important to 100% focus on that organization, and that's what I've been doing. So since I'm thinking about my current organization, I don't even know when I will exit, what I will do beyond that, because as soon as you have that in your mind, it's a distraction. You start thinking, some part of the brain starts thinking. So I'm 100% focused on my current company. The second thing, you asked me, what big are you doing in this company? I think I'm doing something very, very big and important for the country. Let me explain. In India, as I was telling you what we do online degrees and we do work integrated degrees. We are helping the general degrees become professional degrees. We are ensuring that every student in this country who takes a BA or a BSc or a BCom has a career standing of them at the end of the tunnel. Now, अगर आप देखोगे, अगर इंडिया में 1 करोड़ बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं जो हायर एजुकेशन में हर साल जाते हैं, उसमें से सरप्राइजिंग फैक्ट इज दैट 60% of the kids go into one course. 60% of the kids take admission in one course called BA. क्यों लेते हैं उसे नहीं पता, उसके पेरेंट्स को नहीं पता, भगवान को भी नहीं पता वो कोर्स लेते क्यों है, ले लेते हैं ना. प्रॉब्लम यह है कि इन सबको अपने करियर के बारे में ना उन्होंने सोचा है, ना उसे किसी ने बताया है. That there are people who are the lost, and there are people who will end up adding up to the list of unemployable youth in this country. I think by our innovative products, innovative solutions, we are doing a very important innovation at the intersection of education and employment. इसमें जो बच्चे पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं उसको हम वर्क एक्सपीरियंस दिला रहे हैं, पढ़ाई भी और कमाई भी साथ में चल रहा है। और ये बच्चा जो 3 साल के बाद जब तैयार होगा, he will be not only educated but also experienced and will be absolutely ready to get into the formal workforce. We believe, and a lot of people believe, and अभी ना कुछ दिन पहले मैं अपने ग्रुप में बताता नहीं हूँ, the government of India, Minister of Education has signed an MOU with us. They want us to do this for all their employment exchanges, and we are setting up this, and very soon Prime Minister will be inaugurating these centers. We are starting something called Team Leads EdTech DigiVarsity career launches in every employment exchange of this country, where students can come in and find out a career pathway for themselves. People tell that at scale, आज हम 1 लाख बच्चे मेरे साथ काम कर रहे हैं, but someday these numbers will start going up. At scale, this will become one of the biggest revolution in higher education in this country, where every kid getting into college, every kid getting into university will be sure of a career at the end of their degree. अगर जिस दिन ये हम लोगों ने कर लिया, ये बाकी एडटेक्स की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, बिकॉज लोगों को एडटेक्स की जरूरत क्यों पड़ती है? बिकॉज द स्कूल सिस्टम एंड द कॉलेज सिस्टम डिफेक्टिव एंड यू नीड अ रिपेयर सिस्टम। कॉलेज में पढ़ाई नहीं हुई तो आप जाके किए और जाके कुछ और कोर्स करते हो, क्योंकि उसके जरिए आपको नौकरी मिलती है, क्योंकि डिग्री के जरिए तो मिलती नहीं। इफ द डिग्री वॉज पोटेंशियल इनफ, इट वॉज प्रेग्नेंट विथ लॉट ऑफ एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी, यू डिड नॉट नीड अनदर रिपेयर कोर्स। तो हमारा सोचना यह है कि हम इस बेस प्रोडक्ट को ही इतना मजबूत बनाएं, उतना अच्छा बनाए, उतना काम का बनाए, ये सिर्फ नाम की नहीं, काम की डिग्री हो, तो फिर लोगों को और भटकने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। हम शायद, आई थिंक वी आर डूइंग अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट जॉब इन नेशन बिल्डिंग टुडे, एंड एट स्केल दिस विल बी वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट रेवोल्यूशंस इन हायर एजुकेशन इन दिस कंट्री। दैट्स द बिग ड्रीम दैट वी हैव।
I think my another question was related to your retirement. My apologies for that. Okay, you are still very young, so it was a wrong question to ask. I think that was great. That was great. Um, what is it that you would like to? What is the advice, right? You would like to give to youngsters fresh passing out of Vidyapeeth,
Yeah,
you know, to the youth in general.
correct. So yeah, so we have to be careful about the time also, Ravish. अभी कृष्णा हमें रेड फ्लैग लगाएंगे, 3-4 मिनट बचे हुए हैं to complete our 45 minutes, and then maybe a few questions. Okay, so see, the time when I started entrepreneurship was different from the time today. I think India is at a very interesting juncture at this point in time. All the parameters that makes the right conditions for spontaneous combustion looks like ticked today for entrepreneurship. सारी इंडिया ग्रो कर रही है, इंडस्ट्रीज ग्रो कर रहे हैं, कैपिटल अवेलेबल है, रेगुलेटरी सिस्टम्स आज ईज आउट हो रही हैं, कंज्यूमर्स अवेयर हैं, डिजिटाइजेशन टॉप पर है, हर इंडियन के हाथ में एक मोबाइल फोन, स्मार्टफोन है. आई थिंक दिस इज द राइट टाइम फॉर पीपल टू ट्राई आउट देयर पैशन फॉर एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इफ दे फाइंड फिगर आउट वन. एक लड़का आया था मेरे पास बीच में, एक नाम नहीं बताऊंगा बट अपने आरकेएम का लड़का, उसने पूछा भैया मुझे एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप करनी है. अरे बिल्कुल बताओ क्या करना चाहते हो, जैसे आप कुछ बताओ ना मुझे क्या करूं मैं कुछ प्रॉब्लम, कुछ सोल्यूशन प्रॉब्लम बताओ. आई थिंक दैट्स नॉट द वे एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप.
Yeah, correct.
Entrepreneurship comes from within. When you determine a problem, you think of a solution. ये एक मम्मी का काम है, एक आया का काम नहीं है. आप किसी और का आइडिया लेकर आप एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप नहीं कर सकते. You know, entrepreneurship has to be done from something that strikes you, that here is a problem, here is a solution which can help the consumers, who can help people come out of that problem, and I can make a business out of it. I think it's a gut feel which keeps on coming in. Then you do your maths together. I think it has to be ingenuous. It has to come from within. It has to be real origin. That's the way entrepreneurship can be done. But if somebody was thinking about something like this, I think this is the best time in India to do entrepreneurship. If you keep your fundamentals right, if you build your core team. दूसरी बात, एक बात रविश बताना भूल गया, is entrepreneurship at times is also a very lonely journey, because since you are at the top, right, you are expected to be perfect. You're expected to know everything. You're expected to do the right things. You're expected to be resourceful all the time, right? Everybody looks up to you. Today in my company, there are about 500 people. 500 families look up to me every month, the last day of the month, to ensure their salaries reach their bank. That's a lot of responsibility, which means that uh, and at times you also need help, you also need support, you need advice, you need to discuss with somebody. So it's always helpful if you find a great or a good co-founder with you, somebody where there's a meeting of the heart, meeting of the minds. But if the co-founder is your friend, colleague, your relative, your brother or sister, please ensure that you don't forget my first advice, which is write an MOU between two of you. What will be the role? What will happen? Who will put in money? Who will draw salaries? How will we exit if one have to exit? And all these things, very important. एक पेज का MOU लिख कर उसको अपने लॉकर में रख दीजिए. That will ensure that you don't fight in future and go for the long term. So I think finding a co-founder is always very comforting. Right? दो जन मिलकर डिस्कस कर सकते हैं and it becomes the journey थोड़ी लंबी चलती है, थोड़ी अच्छी चलती है. So I think those are my advices for people at this point in time. Keep fundamentals strong. Do not take shortcuts. Think for the long term. That would be my advice to people.
I think it's very unfair for me to only ask question, only me asking question. You know, I'm just opening it to everyone for them to ask question. But शांतनु दिल भरा नहीं. एक आखिरी सवाल रह गई थी. If Krishna and other guys allow me, okay, can I put one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. See, it's quite lonely at the top.
Yeah.
See, how does one, and you also said that people treat you as a demigod, okay, and then challenges, it's very lonely at the top. How do one keep sanity? And I'm asking this question in context to a famous quote, right, which came from L&T's chairman, okay. My personal belief is, right, that he might have said, right, just like that, okay, in front of 10 people, probably without meaning it, or in jest, or probably in some context, or he must be angry at something. After all, he's also a human being. But look what we are all doing to him, isn't it?
Correct.
So that's the cost. How do you keep your sanity? Because if 500 people or 500 families or 1,000 families are looking up to you, in such loneliness, okay, when people are treating you as like a demigod, when each word and action is peered over and dissected, how do you keep sanity?
So हम दोनों जब मिलते हैं रवीश, ये बात कई बार करते हैं कि head above heart is an important element in all of these things, right? So I mean, when you are an entrepreneur, when you're the CEO of the organization, it's very, very important to think before you speak. You can't just make statements like the way he made the statements, right? हम सब ने मिलकर उनको पकड़ के बहुत गाली दी. ET नाउ पे और NDTV मैंने भी 3-4 बार सेशंस कर दिया मैंने. But the issue is that maybe he should not have made that statement, right? But एक बार it's like the spoken words like arrows which can't be taken back. So you made a statement in a public platform and it became an issue for discussion for sure, because people believe that what you're saying is what you mean, right? So you give that out. So I think you should not have made that statement. I'm not too sure whether he meant that, but then the fact that you spoke that on a public platform gives fodder for discussion for others. So that's something that's you have to be careful about, right?
And I think how you keep your sanity probably is like another 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours of session in itself. It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. So importantly, to ensure that your value systems are in place, right?
Oh, yes.
You have to continuously, monitor those things. I mean, in terms of stuff. And in my company, Ravish, का भी मौका मिले मैं समझाऊंगा that we run our company. We create a framework for thinking about all the stuff. A top system ties our mission or the vision of the company, and we said that making India employable is our vision. From there reaches our values. उस mission को achieve करने के लिए क्या values बनाएंगे आप, right? And the value systems are very, very paramount and important. उसके बाद आपका आता है goals for the organization. Goals are milestones. Goals जब बन जाते हैं उसके बाद बनती है strategy. एंड स्ट्रैटेजी बनता है, उस स्ट्रैटेजी का सपोर्ट करने के लिए बनता है स्ट्रक्चर, और स्ट्रक्चर को फिल्ड करने के लिए बनता है टीम्स. आई थिंक इफ somebody follows this entire stuff, thinking becomes more methodical and problem solving becomes slightly more easier because everybody has a framework to think. कि पहले स्ट्रैटेजी नहीं सोचेंगे गोल से पहले, गोल्स को फॉलो करता है स्ट्रैटेजी, स्ट्रैटेजी को डू नॉट फॉलो गोल्स. लॉट ऑफ पीपल मेक मिस्टेक्स saying that मेरे पास ये 5 सेल्स वाले हैं, मैं कितना सेल्स कर सकता हूँ. रिसोर्सेज आर नेवर ए बाइंडिंग कंस्ट्रेंट. बाइंडिंग कंस्ट्रेंट इज योर विजन, योर एबिलिटी टू ड्रीम बिग, राइट. सो गोल्स के हिसाब से स्ट्रैटेजी बनेगा, स्ट्रैटेजी के हिसाब से स्ट्रक्चर बनेगा, स्ट्रक्चर के हिसाब से टीम रिक्रूट हो. I think it's top down. It flows downwards from top. So I think those are fundamentals that you do when you go forward, and you learn from some of these mistakes that you make, and you fall and learn unless somebody is there to teach you. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm just falling in love with you, Shantanu, after hearing all this. Uh, questions from everyone. If you want to ask a question, please go ahead.
संजीव सिन्हा जी को कुछ पूछना है.
Yes, Sanjeev, go ahead.
हाँ, 3 है लेकिन मैं एक ही पूछ सो दैट समय बचे, बाकी मेल में डाल दूंगा.
बताइए.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Shoot.
तो क्वेश्चन ये है कि आप ऑलरेडी आपने बताया कि ये जैसे एम्प्लॉयबल बनाने के लिए आप लोग जो कर रहे हैं कॉलेज के स्टूडेंट्स को ऑन जॉब ट्रेनिंग, और मेरे भी एक्सपीरियंस में यही है कि पहले क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ फिर एक्सप्लेन करूंगा. क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो लोग मिड करियर में हैं या रिटायरमेंट के आसपास हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल 30s 40s 50s, तो कई बार वो रिडंडेंट हो जाते हैं या फिर कोई कारण से नौकरी छोड़ देते हैं, तो उनको कई बार सेम पोजीशन नहीं मिलता है. दे नीड टू लर्न सम स्किल्स. अपॉर्चुनिटी दिख रहा है बट दे डोंट नो. तो वैसे लोगों को
रीलर्निंग, रीस्किलिंग, रीट्रेनिंग,
जैसे आप लोग का कॉलेज स्टूडेंट्स के लिए है, वैसे 40 साल का कोई व्यक्ति इंटर्न बन गया कहीं पे और गेट ए डिग्री एंड ऑल्सो टुगेदर विद दैट, ऐसा कुछ आप लोग के मन में है या अभी वो आप लोग का डाइवर्सन हो जाएगा अटेंशन का, कॉलेज स्टूडेंट्स को ही फोकस कर रहे हैं?
तो हमारी कंपनी में 2 तरह से काम करते हैं इसमें संजीव. एक तो we call them, one part is called the traditional learner जो कि 12वीं पास करके कॉलेज में आता है. सेकंड इज कॉल्ड एम्प्लॉयड लर्नर जो काम कर चुका है या काम कर रहा है, उसको एम्प्लॉयबल बनाने की बात करें. And I think as Ravish just now started commenting just before I started talking, and I would ask Ravish also to add because he's a hugely experienced professional. Today's world में relearning, new learning and upskilling is just the rule of the game, right?
Right.
Things are changing so fast, and everybody, you risk the obsolescence of your knowledge if you're not learning new skills every day. जिस तरह से बिजनेस 2 साल पहले हुआ था. Ravish is the head of servicing for a very large, one of the leading CRM companies of this country, and he works with the topmost banks, not of the country but the world. He delivers, he tells them what they must do, he tells them how they must build their processes, how they can do amazing work in their customer service. But if he did not upskill himself, the world has changed in the last 2 years time. By the use of AI and ML and automation, robotization, ये सब चीजों के कारण वर्ल्ड बदल चुका है. If he keeps giving them the same ज्ञान that he gave them 2 years back, no, there will be no takers today. Which means that even people like Ravish will have to learn new skills every day. And if you're not learning, it's like train. Train में क्या होता है कि if you're you आपको दिख रहा है कि अगर आप एक जगह आप you can see the people going backwards. The world, दुनिया आगे बढ़ती जा रही है. अगर आप नहीं मूव कर रहे हो ना तो आप एक्चुअली पीछे जा रहे हैं. If you're not moving forward, because the world is moving forward. If you're not moving forward, if you're stationary, you are actually moving backwards. ट्रेन में बैठ के हम यही देखते हैं. So that's the way the world is all about. If you have to want to moving forward, you have to continuously learn, relearn. And there are many platforms apart from our platform. There are many platforms जहाँ पर there are courses and आज के digitized जमाने में learning is everywhere, right? I mean, we believe that today's learning is a format which is always on the go, online, on site, on the campus, crowdsourced, gamified. That's the way online is. Learning is all about. There's peer learning. इसमें लर्निंग हर जगह है. जिसको पढ़ना चाहे यूट्यूब खोला, लर्निंग हो रही है. फ्री कोर्सेज भरे पड़े हैं लिंक्डइन में, हर जगह पे. नॉलेज तो हर जगह पर. Important to continuously learn. That's the only way to come back to work. People who have taken a break in their career, if you can demonstrate your continuous learnability and your skills which are currently relevant, I think there's an employers who will willing to bet on you. Ravish, would you like to add?
Yeah, whether you are a founder, CEO man, or you are an engineer or a manager, okay. आजकल तो every 6 months to 1 year, the technologies are changing, things are changing. Every 2 years, right? You have to rediscover yourself, reskill yourself. Else, nobody will need you. I'm sorry to put it this way.
Um, Dada, I have one question.
Yep.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, very much.
Uh, Dada, like someone who wishes to start a business, like they have many ideas. Like the youngsters have many ideas, but how do they like fix one idea? Like how do they go for the idea validation or like fix their mind? Like this is the one which I should go forward with. Like because we do not have lots of data. Like we do have lot of data, but we do not know how to confirm like a single idea on which I should go ahead and work and give all my heart and soul. So, can you please speak something about that?
तो विकास, पता नहीं आप शार्क टैंक देखते हैं कि नहीं, उसमें काफी सारी चीजें सिखाई जाती है उसमें. So it talks about that. What is your problem that you are trying to solve? How big can it become? Is it really a large problem that you're trying to solve? Is there a way to monetize that particular problem? अगर आपको फिर भी confusion होता है, and it's always possible that people have not gone through these journeys, may not know what is a structured way of thinking about it. The best thing to do is to find out somebody who has gone through the journey and consider that person as a mentor. Somebody who can guide you, saying that यार ये 3 चीजें पहले करो, इस तरह से करो. And I mean, people who have not done that in the past, it's good to have a mentor who can take you through a structured process of thinking, building a business model, thinking about risks, thinking about assumptions, thinking about addressable market, consumer preferences, all of these together. तो मुझे लगता है अगर if you have 2-3 different ideas and are trying to figure out which may work best, it's good to bounce the idea of people who are slightly more experienced, people who know, people who be from the industry, and take their opinion, and possibly you will be able to zero down on which possibly is the path that you want to take.
Thank you, Dada.
Yeah, Prosenjit.
Hi, Shantanu and Ravishda. I am Prasenjit from 1993 batch, so you're 5 years junior. But we always know the seniors. We they used to be our role models. We know the name of the seniors, not the juniors that much. But so my question to Shantanu is, so I mean, he is more towards creating employability for the young kids, especially those who come out of college. So the internship is certainly one thing that helps. The other thing I really find different in India is the curriculum, the school or the college curriculum, right? When we are in ninth grade back in India, say we had economics, and the question that used to be asked in our exam, what is a stock market? Give an example. पूरा रट्टा मार के लिख दिया, वाह खूब भालो छेले, 10 out of 10 हो गया, right? यहाँ पे, so my kid, he's in ninth grade. So they gave him like $10,000 and create a stock portfolio. Everything is real there, except the money is not real. So all the company stock, real prices, everything. So basically what I'm saying is that the curriculum here is already more oriented for jobs. So internship, as Shantanu, their company is doing, is certainly one thing that will help. How much you think the curriculum needs to be changed? Or do you also play a role in advising the universities to like work on their curriculum or update their curriculum?
Thanks, Prasenjit. So I do advise, but then let me tell you, the last couple of years' time, India is changing very fast, driven by this national new education policy, which is rewriting every single curriculum. It's structured about credits. It's actually merging vocational education to formal education, starting skill education right from schools. I think India is on the verge of a great change at this point in time. Education बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. Next couple of years' time, you'll see that most of these curriculums are not the same one. And I completely agree with you when you said we were stuck in that old, British colonial area curriculum for quite some time, but not anymore. NEP 2020 is a vision document, fantastic document, very well made, and a lot of work is happening there. This current government is pushing it very, very hard. And there is a lot of change that I'm seeing in the university world for sure. I mean, अगर आज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ अ मल्टी डिसिप्लिन डिग्री, हमारे जमाने में होता था अगर आप बीकॉम करते तो हमारे क्लास में 50 बच्चे हैं, हर बच्चा सेम सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ता था, 6 पेपर्स होते थे मान लीजिए। आज के जमाने में कॉलेजेस में आप जाएंगे और बीकॉम पढ़ना चाहेंगे, हमारे और हम दोनों अगर पढ़ रहे हैं तो सिर्फ 2 कोर पेपर्स कॉमन होंगे, बाकी 4 पेपर आप कुछ भी ले सकते हैं। आप म्यूजिक लीजिए, आप लॉ लीजिए, आप जाकर फाइन आर्ट्स ले लीजिए। There's a concept of a multidisciplinary degrees, credit linked degrees are all opening up stuff there. The concept of ensuring that every student who is getting to college must do an internship, ये कहाँ था पहले? एंड क्रेडिट इंटर्नशिप से दिखाने के लिए नहीं है, उसमें क्रेडिट्स मिलते हैं जिसको ऐड करेंगे तभी आपकी डिग्री मिलेगी। The concept of university is becoming like a service provider. The mobility of credit from one university to other. एक बार अभी हमारे समय में क्या होता था, एक यूनिवर्सिटी में गए, एडमिशन ले लिया, 3 साल वहीं फंस गए, अच्छा लगे चाहे नहीं लगे आप वहीं फंस गए। अब ये नहीं है, 1 साल के बाद यू कैन डिसाइड टू एग्जिट फ्रॉम द यूनिवर्सिटी एंड गो टू अनदर यूनिवर्सिटी विद दीज क्रेडिट्स एंड से आई वांट टू टेक एडमिशन ईयर 2, and again you can exit from there and still go to other university and say I want to do your degree from here. So the credit mobility is actually creating a lot of competition amongst universities to start changing themselves, modernize themselves, and start becoming consumer friendly. People will have to change. If they don't change, they'll become a part of history very soon.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for the answer. So one thing I really liked here when I first came to US was the idea of open book exam. So लोग सोचते थे अरे ओपन बुक में तो क्या, नो, आई मीन समटाइम्स यू कांट इवन फाइंड द आंसर लुकिंग एट द बुक, यू हैव टू नो योर स्टफ. आई मीन द बुक ओनली हेल्प्स टू गेट सम डेटा, but at the end of the day you need to have a thought process to answer it. So I really hope someday that also comes in India, that when you have open book exams and people who understand the concept, they can succeed.
Prasanjit, you'll be happy to know many universities in India already are following this now.
Oh really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for enlightening me.
Thank you. We are already running short of time, Krishna.
Any more questions from anyone? Or I mean, me and Shantanu, we love to talk. I mean, personally, if you ask me, I'll go on and on for 3 days. But I think if there is no more question, I think Krishna, over to you. What do you
सिर्फ
want
मैं
to
वैलिडेशन एक देना चाहता हूँ, ये
हाँ,
जो एग्जिट जो बताया कि एग्रीमेंट होना चाहिए, और उसके और इन्होंने कभी एग्जिट का सोचा नहीं इस वाले में, उस पर्पस से नहीं है। तो उसमें बेंजामिन फ्रैंकलिन का बायोग्राफी में पढ़ा था ये चीज कि उन्होंने बहुत सारे वेंचर शुरू किए, और हर एक में कॉमन ये था कि उन्होंने पहले ब्रेकअप एग्रीमेंट पहले बनाते थे बिफोर कमिंग टुगेदर। तो ये वैलिडेशन मुझे अच्छा लगा। और सेकंड जो था कि आपने जो बोला कि एग्जिट नहीं करेंगे, ऐसा मन में सोच के नहीं करते हैं, लॉन्ग टर्म में है, सरवाइव करना ज्यादा जरूरी है, लाइव रहना। तो इसमें मैंने एक ट्रेंड देखा है, वो बिजनेस का आज का बात नहीं है, पर मैं जस्ट कमेंट करके छोड़ना चाहता हूँ, आप जानते ही होंगे। वो ये है कि कस्टमर से पैसे बनाना एक चीज है जो ट्रेडिशनल बिजनेस करते हैं। अभी मैं कुछ 10-15 साल से जो ट्रेंड 10 साल से ट्रेंड देख रहा हूँ, वो ये है कि बिजनेस कस्टमर से नहीं बनाना सोच के, वो इन्वेस्टर से, यानी कि जो बाद में आईपीओ के बाद जो लोग आएंगे रिटेल वाले 50,000 1 लाख लेके, उनसे बनाना चाहते हैं। तो पॉन्जी स्कीम टाइप का मुझे दिखने लगा है बस ये।
नहीं तो वो लोग बहुत जल्दी जा भी रहे हैं।
ये टोपी
That
पहनाने का
business
बिजनेस है।
model. Okay, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shantanu, you were saying
So I
something.
think ये टोपी पहनाने का बिजनेस है, उसमें होना नहीं चाहिए। I think that's not for the long term. It's only short term thinking. Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, I would like to thank Shantanu for sharing his invaluable lessons on entrepreneurship. We also appreciate your time and willingness to share your knowledge with the RKMV fraternity. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to our moderator, Ravish Da, who has managed this session wonderfully. And to our audience, thank you for investing your time in today's session. Your participation and engagement are what make these sessions truly special. With your permission, we'll conclude today's session. The recording will be uploaded on YouTube, allowing those who missed the session to benefit from the rich discussion. Thank you once again and have a great day.
All happened because of you, brother Krishna, right?
Thank you so much.
You insisted, we all came together. So thank you to you too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ravisa. Thank
Bye.
you.